Hey folks, my name's Ash and I'm gonna tell you my obesity story, but I do have some personal things I want to talk about, so I'll save that for the end of the video, so you can stick around after the story if you're interested. But yeah, I'm gonna adjust my chair since I'm unprofessional, and yeah, I'll explain it that when I studied in high school, my second year I started health and social as it was called back then, and then I studied ambulance. Is it called ambulance studies? Ambulance driving? Or something like that. During the third year. And then the fourth year was study specialization, and well, that's it for high school really. And something important to note is that during first year of high school I was gone only 4 days, and that was normal for me. Like I had at most been gone 7 days any year prior to this, and high school is your 11th year, so 11th year of school overall. But then during year number 2 I started to get a bit exhausted, and I said I was a bit tired of school to my teacher, but I didn't really know how to decipher the signals that my body was sending me at the time. But during this year I was gone 7 days, almost twice as much as this. Then the third year I was gone 14 days, which was twice as much as this year. And then 35 days. 35 days during the fourth year. And I did apply to have 10 days removed during that last year because, well, my Becker's disease had been diagnosed, and since that was a chronic illness, it meant I was allowed to have 10 days stricken from the record. But I never got feedback on that, so I could have been gone 45 days, it could have been 35. I don't know. I simply do not know. But yeah, that's how it went in high school. And I did realize somehow during my third year when I got that diagnosis that shit, I'm gonna get disabled. But at the same time I said I'm gonna become an ambulance driver, like I wouldn't give up. Like I was split down the middle, like half of me knew reality, half of me knew my dream of being a hero, saving lives and all that stuff. But it was during the fourth year that I knew, crap, my health has deteriorated a lot, and despite working out, being the fittest I've ever been, despite having abs, being ripped, having doubled the size of my arms, it's not going better. I'm getting worse, and I'm having more and more paralyzing seizures, my sleeping problem is evolving. This ain't good. But an opportunity came into my lap, and it was to study at the University of Winchester. But for the record, before we go there, I used to weigh exactly 75 kilograms, that's important. I was 180 centimeters tall. That's average height in Norway, 75 kilograms, that's within the perfect margin of 70 to 90. And when I worked out, I at first went down to 71 or 72 kilograms, and slowly I built myself up to 77. And I stayed at 77 kilograms, I think, for 6 months to a year somewhere. And that's where I saw the most change in my body, where the muscles were just starting to pop. Like I could really see the lines between the skin and the muscle because the fat kept diminishing. But as I replaced fat with muscle, it was just a 1-to-1 ratio when it comes to weight. So that was amazing. I was pumped. I looked at myself in the mirror every morning like, damn, I'm sexy. And I really did that. But I'm not the guy to brag, so I never made videos of it really. I never recorded myself exercising, and I kind of regret that. I regret not taking pictures to actually prove this stuff. But yeah, at least I have pictures of my face from before, during, and after the university, but I'm not gonna put these into this video. Just no, nobody should see that. That should be reserved for people who really need to see that, like an investor or someone who wants to pay me compensation. But yeah. So now you know, I used to weigh 77 kilograms, I was ripped, really fit, and life was great. I was booming with confidence. It was fantastic. I had my whole life in front of me. And if I remember right, I had like 3,500 euros on my account, which I had saved up from my scholarships. And that's not too bad. But then, I studied at this University of Winchester, which I had contacted a lot beforehand. And I realized some of the error lies with me here, where I would maybe ask them, hey, is it okay if this happens, then this should be the result? They would reply with yes, and I would take that as their promise that, yeah, That's an order. That's what's gonna happen. If that happens, then this. But really, they kind of just answered a question about knowledge, like, is this something that can happen? And they say, yes, it could happen. They didn't tell me that I needed to apply for certain things, so yeah, that's kind of the problem when you have autism that's not diagnosed, and how I used to believe pretty much anyone with any sense of authority. So I took their word, as a promise when maybe it wasn't actually a promise. But then there were other things that they definitely promised, and things they definitely said, and things they tried to convince me with, and sentences which they manipulated me with. And those are definite lies, and those are definite cases of fraud. But anyway, I studied at this University of Winchester, right? And I didn't do so good, and I tried to drop out early on. But the student council really, 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 really did not want that to happen. It was like she was possessed about having me stay there, and she said all the things I wanted to hear, and she manipulated me. And she even showed me my different classrooms and all that. But later, when I was battling with the university, months later, when I tried to drop out, then she denied ever having seen me. She actually flat out lied, like several other employees actually did. And I guess the university is really experienced with doing this kind of stuff, making people lie in order to benefit them. And that's crazy. But anyway, you get the gist. I was very sick. I asked the university if I could study there anyway, and in the case that I was too sick to keep on studying, I asked that I be allowed to drop out for free, so that so I don't end up in a lot of debt that I can't pay. Because, two things can happen when you study at a university. You're either okay, then you get a scholarship, and you can pay the fees, no problem, just like what they had promised me. Then there is the other case where you can't study, and because you fail, you don't get a scholarship, and so you can't pay the debt. And I asked them to please help me out here, that if I was to be unable, please erase my debt. And they said that was gonna be arranged. They said that was okay, but that was not okay. It was a lie. And there was a lot of help I was supposed to get, which I didn't get, guidance I was supposed to get, but I didn't get that until I almost committed suicide. So yeah, it got pretty serious studying over there. But yeah, I feel like I've gotten too much into detail about stuff, and I don't want to drag on. I want to get to the point of the story. So the point of the story is that I get them to erase half the debt through a lot of pleading, a lot of being reasonable. And then comes the day. I'm supposed to pay £800 now, so that they have not lost anything, because they did some math and calculated that I cost them £800 in electricity, or something like that. So they wanted me to pay £800 because then at least they would break even on me as a student, and they would erase my studying fees, but my living fees, they wanted me to pay those, and I had not even seen these before coming to the university, and turns out that might be because one piece of document was actually missing in my files, but I don't know, somebody somewhere made a mistake that made that document not arrive. So I ended up with this problem, yeah. And they manipulated me again, using all their fancy speech and their very, very good experience with financial stuff and people with autism, as they boasted about several times to me that we have experience with people in financial issues, we have experience with people with autism. They kept saying that over and over again in a tone that was positive, but I realized way too late that it was negative, that they actually had experience manipulating people and taking advantage of them. So they made this contract, £800, that's what I was to pay. I double checked the contract, I agreed to the terms we had. They sent it in the mail, and they very, very expressly told me to deliver it immediately, like, don't even read it, just go straight to the financial office and deliver it, just sign it there, deliver it. And, well, desperate as I was, and at the worst time of my life as I was in, I did decide to basically do that. I mean, I took it into my apartment, I read it, I signed it, because it seemed alright. I went to deliver it, And what happened? What happened at this payment terminal, which I don't have a payment terminal, but I have this remote for my air conditioner. And you can agree that the normal terminal is not too different from this. It has a screen, slot for the card underneath, and then the keypads with an OK button here, cancel button there. But the one that they have at the University of Winchester looks like this. You have a card slot, and you have keys, but there is no monitor, no screen, no nothing. So I just put in my card, slotted in my code, OK. And that should have been it. I mean, delivered the contract, she said she put in the amount, and then said that I was to pay, and yeah, I put it into the terminal, which just had buttons and a card slot. And then, later I actually learned that, oh shit, they tried to take thousands of pounds from me. They froze my bank account in the negatives because there is a math that my bank does to figure out how far it can go into the negatives, how long your bank account is supposed to stay frozen. I'm not gonna go into details, but yeah, my bank account could not be used for a long time. And you know what they did when I complained? You know what they did? They erased my email at the university. And here's the thing, they are so adept at scamming people and committing fraud at this university that they do not respond to private emails. They will not. Like, they see your private email address messaging them and they ignore it. Because they want you to only use their email service, because then they can delete it. They can make any claim of that contract disappear, and they erase that evidence. And I really freaking wished I took a picture of it, or copied it, took it to the scanner and emailed it to my private email. But I didn't, because, I played right into their hand and I was manipulated. So what I had to do was take my emergency money, which was barely enough to get 800 calories a day. For the record, I tended to eat 2,100 calories since I was 16 years old, and that didn't change even when I started working out at the age of 18. So yeah, 2,100 calories down to 800 for 60 days. And at the end of those 60 days in England, I weighed 50 kilograms, meaning I went down 27 kilograms, and from a perfect weight class to very dangerously underweight. I think the second lowest class we have for underweight. So it was serious, and my skin did not take well to it. I became a pizza face. I got open, not quite wounds, but cracks, and it started flaking, and it even became grey. My skin became grey instead of white, pinkish. Excuse me. So that was not very good. And as I came home, it turned out that my mom decided to just cut me off like that. She heard my story. She knew I had 10 different medical conditions right now, at that time, and that I had gotten depression, anxiety, and suicidal thoughts because of the things the university did. So that was kind of a problem. And I think, well, no, it's correct. I was thinking about my cataracts, but I wouldn't get that for another year. So yeah. At that time, 10 conditions, and being severely underweight. And my mom was like, nope, you're on your own. So she would only give me housing and Wi-Fi and electricity. Yeah, no food, no water, no transport, no money. And I never asked anything of her. Like, about the most I had asked for her was when I was 17 and asked her to buy some games for me on Steam, in which case I paid her back in cash. Meaning that I didn't really ask too much of my mom. Like, I never did. I always had enough money to do what I want because I was good at saving up my money. I was very good with finances. But then, I contacted my psychologist because I hadn't eaten for several days, and I was like, Mom's cut me off and I can't eat. I don't have money. And my psychologist pointed me to the welfare system, and they gave me emergency money. Problem being that right as I got that, the University of Winchester came a-knocking. Hey, debt. Pay debt. Or we send people to your house and drag you away to prison. Like, they actually sent a legitimate threat, which is illegal. And I really wish I knew that at the time, but I studied medicine, not law. And then I tried to study writing, not law. Damn it. So, in order to stay out of jail and out of fear of being kidnapped, because, I had anxiety with genuine panic attacks, I had to pay that debt. I had to meet the requirement each month, and I pleaded with them to please wait. Please wait. I have already starved, and if you force me to starve any longer, I might die. And the university just said, that is not our problem. You should have thought about that before studying at us. Yeah, total disregard for human life. Like, they care more about getting their money right now than they do about your life and your health. If they kill you, they don't care. They simply do not care. They want their money right now, right on time. No excuses, no delays. They don't care if they kill you. So yeah, I starved for 4 months in total. 2 in England, 2 at home. 120 days, pretty much right on the dot. And soon after, I of course started gaining weight rapidly. I mean, as soon as I got upgraded from emergency money to actual welfare in May of 2014, then I could suddenly eat again. I remember that. So instead of buying food based on calories per dollar, I then bought food based on calories per kilogram, because I could finally not care about the price and just get the lightest food with the most calories. And within 2 weeks, just 2 weeks of having a quote-unquote normal diet, 2,100 calories a day, maybe with a few weird food items, but you know, a normal amount of calories, I had already gone up to 85 kilograms. So I don't know if I gained 35 kilograms over the course of 2 weeks, or if, while starving, I had gained some weight in the last 2 months. I don't know. But I do know it was very hectic during the last 2 months of starvation, and I was hungry without food 3 days a week, maybe 4, I don't know what the average was. Maybe 3.5 days without food, if I was to take the average. And on the days where I had food, on the three days that I had food, maybe 3-4 days where I had food, I didn't exactly have 2,100 calories, I had less than that. But it was enough that on those days I wasn't miserable. But man, I spent most of my time bedridden, at least half my awake time bedridden, and 8 to 10 hours in bed at night trying to sleep. And that wasn't good. And all this time my mom was also, what should I say, sabotaging me, waking me up while I was sleeping, even though she knew I had a sleep disorder, even though she knew I could only sleep once a day, and when I'm sleeping I need full rest. She didn't give a shit, and she would break down my door and illegally enter my room in order to do these things, and that was terrible. That's a thing many people don't know, but it depends on the country. But you have a right to privacy, and as long as you do not share your room with other people, then nobody has a right to enter without your permission. Doesn't matter if somebody else owns it. If you are the one living there, then it's your privacy and it's your room. Even if somebody else owns it, they gotta throw you out. They gotta give you a 30-day notice before they are allowed to enter the room. So I should actually have called the police on my mom, potentially. And if I was ever in this situation again, I would absolutely do something to end up in jail. I don't know if I would threaten a person or if I would just steal something and just go to a store clerk like, hey, I'm gonna steal this, I want you to call the cops, because I'm in a situation where jail is now my only option. Like, I might do that, and then he agrees to watch me steal the food, and once I've stolen it, then he calls the cops. Maybe. That's what I would assume. Like, if I just say I'm gonna steal it, that's not enough. I would actually have to go through with it and have the clerk see me do it. Yeah. That's what I would do if I was in that situation ever again. But anyway, we were 2 weeks after starvation ended, right? 85 kilograms. I was ashamed of that, because I could see my belly just having gone out, since, you know, muscle takes a while to repair and grow. So I was ashamed of having become basically fat, even though 85 kilograms is not fat when you're at that height. I would need to get to like 95 to get fat, but you know, I was ashamed because I had a belly. I had a gut for the first time in my life. And that meant I had to move out into this one-room apartment first, and then I finally weighed myself again, and that was a year later. And I weighed 104 kilograms. And 104 makes me just barely obese. I think if I could lose, let's say 3 kilograms, then I would no longer be obese. But yeah, that's how I got obese. I got betrayed by university, and I starved for 4 months. And I think most people in a higher weight class, they got to that weight class for a legitimate reason, and that's why I wanted to make the video, to add one more piece of evidence and one more voice saying, no, not all super fat people get there from just overeating. Some people have legitimate stories, and I believe it to be most people that got that big have some reason for becoming that big, not just an excuse. Now, of course, there's the other part of it, right? Because one thing is, why did you become fat? The other one is, why are you staying fat? In my case, it seems that my body might be stuck in emergency mode, or starvation mode, or that my metabolism is damaged, and I have tried all kinds of diets, even a diet that made me eat so much spicy stuff that I got bladder problems from the spice. Yeah, so it turns out my body just wants to hoard fat and sucks it in, and it makes sense. And I did starve for 4 months, and the amount of weight that I lost in 2 months is the amount of weight that I've become overweight. So it makes sense that now I have twice as much weight to lose, and that will hold for 4 months. Like, it's so magical that I went down, from my starting point, went down 27 kilograms, and then later went basically up 27. It's just, I don't know, it makes sense, but at the same time I don't know if there's evidence that can prove this. So that sucks. But I've tried working out, I've tried dieting, and nothing works. I even tried rehabilitating at a hospital for 3 weeks, and although that hospital was very nice and stuff, it wasn't long term, it wasn't long enough to get results. And as soon as I came home, I started my own exercise program that the personal trainer at that hospital had laid out, and his plan didn't work. When I work out now, I get really, really weak. And then, of course, my seizures come back, and I get them daily instead of having them once a month. I get them several times a day. I mean, that's why my attendance at the university, it went from 50% early on to only 5%. It's because the seizures kept ramping up until I had them 6 to 10 hours a day. And it could be anywhere from just 2 seizures to 10 seizures. I didn't know. I didn't know how many. But yeah, I basically just wanted to make this video in order to support some of the people that have been gaining very terrible comments over the years, because, for 10 years almost I've been on YouTube, and I've been subscribed to a very, very fat man by the name of Boogie2988. And of course I've been subscribed to Barnacles, Nerdgasm, and other people. And when people are fat, they get negative comments out the wazoo. And these people are delusional, and they think that because they have good intentions, what they do is automatically good, but that's not how things work. You're not automatically good because you have good intentions. Actually doing things that are definitely 100% good, that's how you know you're doing good. Some of the worst things are done under good intentions. So yeah, I don't think fat shaming is the answer. I think instead doing the opposite, and instead encouraging fat people, I think that's the answer. Using positive encouragement instead of negative. I mean, that's why horses are dumb, because we use negative encouragement. But with dogs, they can get really smart because we use positive ones. So that's what you gotta do. At least when I studied dog training, you're supposed to have negative punishment and positive reinforcement. That combination breeds success. So I think we need not fat approval, because health at any size is a lie, but fat shaming is not the answer either. And that's why I think fat encouragement is better. Or rewarding fat people for making the right choices. Just don't reward them for being fat, don't reward them for making bad choices. Reward them for eating a salad, reward them for taking a walk. Just the simple things. That's what I think is the answer. The video's over, by the way, but I'm gonna go over some personal stuff. Oh, that was bad. Yeah, the video's plenty long already. Damn. But yeah, I'm making a cat ladder, so that's new. I have cider in the back, if you wonder what that is. I finally got my my dream sword on the wall, and it's amazing. Looks great. Even put a a little sponge thingy here. Foam actually, foam not sponge. So it can absorb some of the oil that drips off the sword, so it doesn't drip on the table. And it's not gonna damage the blade, and it'll keep it from damaging the wall. And yeah, it's great, I love it. But when it comes to my health, after these 4.5 years on welfare, since May 2014, I've been accepted as disabled, finally. Like, I became disabled while studying at that university, so around 22nd December, that's when I officially became disabled. But legally speaking, I became disabled in May 2014 when I started on welfare, because that's the Norwegian requirement for being disabled. You need to have been on welfare, and then the day that you start getting real welfare, that counts as your disabled beginning. Yeah. So my income is now gonna increase by 20%, which is fantastic. There's a chance I'll get some payback for the last 4 years that I spent on welfare. I have some water in my beard, sorry. And that's great. If I can get a lot of money, then I will move. That's been my plan all along, to stay in this apartment, maybe amass a few things I want, you know, like my 3D printer, like my kitty leather, some few cat stuffs, a sword, you know. And once I have these things under control and I have the things that I want, then perhaps move. Or rather save up, then move. Or just delay until I meet a fantastic woman and then move out with her, or meet a really good friend who is looking for a place and then move in with him. Like, I don't care if I have roommates or not. Like, I've lived with roommates before, so that's no problem. But back then we were 5 people or so yeah. It's no problem for me living with other people. Like, I'm the nicest guy in the world, I'm not gonna be a problem. So I just require everyone else to be equally good, right? But yeah, it's gonna be interesting to be on disability welfare, and it's gonna make it a lot easier to get my income. It's not gonna make the government able to force me into labor anymore, so I'm not gonna be a slave, depending on the definition of slave. And that's nice to know that they can't do that anymore. But yeah, I want a 2-room apartment, or I want to live with someone else in perhaps a 3-room apartment. You know, it depends. Some 2-room apartments are a lot bigger. But yeah, that's my life. Welfare is getting good, money's getting good. And I tried to get my seizures diagnosed, and I've been through every single test that can be done. And it doesn't exist. None of the medical journals have my illness in them. So, turns out I may be the first case to have paralyzing seizures exactly like these. Personally, I like my psychologist reasoning for why I have seizures, and it's that I've just been through so much shit that my body says, stop, I need rest, this is enough. That certainly explains everything, but again, it can't really be proven because nobody else has had this before, so yeah. I don't have an answer, but hey, my health has improved. I'm happier, I'm better. Except for some strange pain in my jaw. It's fine. At least it's not in one of the teeth, but it's probably in that skin that's on the side. I've probably somehow chewed that while sleeping, I don't know. But it hurts. But yeah, whatever. That's my life. Life's going good. I have a cat. She goes in and out all the time. Every day she just goes out for hours, and then she comes back and meows to be let in, and in the morning she cuddles for so long. Like, sometimes she only cuddles for a minute, but most of the time she does it for at least 10. And sometimes it's a whole hour, and I love it. I love that cat. She's such a ball of joy to have. Just a good little fluff ball. Who's a good little fluff ball? She's a good little fluff ball. But yeah, that cat was worth getting. But if she dies, that means I can go live with friends for 6 months, because when you're disabled you're allowed to do that. So I could literally live abroad for 6 months with friends and just have a great time. I would save a lot of money. And that would be nice. And I would try to, if I did that, like, it's probably not gonna happen because my cat's gonna live for 10 years, right? But let's say she disappears or dies or whatever, then I would go and live with my friends for months, just see what happens. You know, rent a place. I would build a computer over there, and I would look into what everybody else has for computers, so that I would buy things that would be upgrades to them. Then I would just build this computer, and once I'm done, I would just split the parts up and give the parts to whoever needs them, for whoever it would be an upgrade. And yeah, maybe they would pay me something for the used parts, I don't know. But you know, that's a nice plan. Let them have the things that they need, while I store my stuff here in Norway somewhere, I don't know. That would be fun. Would be really fun, you know, because I don't have friends in this country. Norway is full of lame people that think, oh, gaming is just for kids or nerds. They haven't awoken yet to realize that gaming is the best hobby out there and the most complete form of art. But yeah, that would be really cool to do. Or if my cat dies, or if someone's willing to babysit her, then I can go to Japan! Yes, Japan! I love Japanese culture and lots of stuff. Not necessarily everything, but I love their attitudes, their work ethics, their cuisine, their anime, their manga. It's just fantastic. I highly recommend Claymore. It's such a fascinating read. And it has 47 strong female characters. Nice. Nice for people who care about genders, I guess. But yeah, it has nice male characters too, and very interesting story, very interesting world. I love it. So yeah, life's good. I enjoy my hobbies, I enjoy spending time with friends. And yeah, I think that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and fuck, I forgot one thing! Fuck, someone already clicked off the video and left. I realized I've been battling fear, not anxiety, but fear of some sort for the past year or so, and I've been thinking about quitting YouTube because of mental issues. But now I'm on a video making spree, and I made 1 or 2 videos that I'm not gonna release because they're not exactly right, and I was a bit too random in them. But yeah, that's why I haven't uploaded for really long, because something's not been quite right here. But I just had to start making a video, and suddenly, hey, now another one, and another one, and things are fine. So yeah, thanks for watching, see you next time, have a good day.